At one point, it held water after a saturation point. But going through a desert where, the sand is hundreds of feet thick, there's no way they're going to make a canal and flood it with enough water to bring a barge through with these big stones, cut. Precise, more accurate than we can do today. There's a company called Flow up in Kent, Washington. They're the one that actually invented the water cutting tool that they can cut. But that still can't cut precise and as accurate as what the blocks in the pyramid were cut. So whatever is built on our planet or in these other places, it had to be with technology that we don't even possess today.
Yeah, that is becoming obvious because there is so many reasons why it couldn't be used, be floating these stones. So, no, I'm totally on board with that. And when it comes to Mars, there is a pyramid up there too in the Cydonia area. And you could see it's very old, probably several million years old. And we don't know how long ago that catastrophe up there was. And there's artifacts all over the Martian surface. And there's lakes up there. There's a three-sided pyramid up there. And, of course, the one in the Cydonia area, I believe, looks like four sides to it. And there's large trees. And the first picture on that documentary, you could see the trees growing there. It's no question. Those are trees. They're huge trees, very huge trees, but they're trees. So there is some form of moisture or water and air or CO2 that will help to grow these trees. And for people, I've been talking about these pictures now. If you want to go and look at those pictures yourself out there listening, go to broadcastteamalpha.com. broadcastteamalpha.com. You just scroll down about a page or so and you will see two documentaries. One of them is called The Moon Pictures, the other one, Mars Pictures. And of course there's other, I even down at the bottom I have a video on time travel where I demonstrate a little electronic device that I've had some strange experiences with. That'd be kind of interesting for you.
Very interesting. So you want to go to broadcastalpha.com and
broadcast team alpha.
Broadcastteamalpha.com and check out the website because I think you'll be rather intrigued when you get onto it.
Yep. And if you want to see a lot of the other pictures that we've been talking about, I have another website that you can go to. And that is www.Aage, that's my first name, -Nost, N-O-S-T.com. So it's AAGE-NOST.com. And you go to the picture gallery, and there is 5,300 unbelievable pictures of things that should not exist, but does.
Wow. Now, a little bit about you. Okay, you also, flew commercial aircraft?
Yeah, I used to fly for 23 years. Me and a partner had a flight school, an international air taxi, and an air carrier, and it was fun, but I burned out, so I started doing other things, just study
the
and painting and things.
So
I came over from Europe in 1972 to go to flight school, and I did that. And 3 years later, 1 year I was done in flight school, and then I worked for other people for 3 years to get more experience, and that's when we started the flight school and had that for many years. And it was very rewarding and a lot of fun. Once in a while, very scary when you're flying into freezing mud and thunderstorms,
Well, the closest I ever came to flying, to be honest with you, is back when I was in the Civil Air Patrol when I was young. And I flew a glider, with our group. And then back when I first married my wife, like 43 years ago, a friend of mine from Norway owned a business park. And every weekend he had a glider. And, I would go out with him and we would, do our thing. And I tell you what, it was very intriguing. That's the closest I ever got to, flying.
Oh, really? Where was that at?
That was a place called Enumclaw, Washington.
Oh, okay.
And actually, one of the planes, the glider, I can't remember the make of it, but I remember it was a World War II glider that was actually built in Norway and used by the military. Somehow he managed to purchase it. It was heavy, so our average time up in the air was about 25 minutes.
Oh. I've never been in a glider, and I probably never will. I can't help it when if I don't have an engine, I think I would feel very naked up there.
Well, I tell you, it was scary because this one place, the club, which I had to join up in the Enumclaw, it was on top of a mountaintop. Not a huge mountain, but it was probably up about like 1,000 feet. And below it, there was a bunch of farms. And above it, there was a guy had a farm, and he let us use it as a runway. You had to come in, and here it was, the opening was just wide enough. You had to slip the plane, the glider, to come in. Otherwise, you'd tear the wings off. So you'd have to slip it in and come in at a 45-degree angle and then straighten it out. That was the only part it was scary every time.
Yeah, as the saying goes, better you than me.
Yeah, I remember the one time I took my wife in it with us, and she freaked out because, again, you don't have a motor. So when you pull that little release for the cable release, and you hear that snap, and then you drop for a ways, and I tell you, she could really scream loud.
Yeah, I can understand.
Yeah. So you have a very good background in aviation and all that stuff. So I got a funny feeling that's what probably got you into, all this other stuff.
No, I started actually studying what's outside of the box back in Europe on the farm where I grew up, and got very interested in UFOs very early. I built a UFO detector when I was about 11 or 12, and that thing worked.
What is a UFO detector?
It is?
What is it? What's a UFO detector?
Oh, well, it's simple to make. Everybody can do this. Gosh, if I did it at the age of 12, you guys can't. I was thinking about it. These things flying through the sky, they don't have an engine as we know it. And if they are manipulating gravity, there is, we know there is gravity fields. Earth has a gravity field, so it will probably create ripples in the gravity field. So I built this UFO detector around a compass. And took one end of the compass needle. I split a wire, put it on each side of the needle, and then I ran that wire through a bell and a breaker switch, and through a battery, in on battery and out of the battery, and back to the other to the compass again, and attached that to the metal casing. And when I turned the needle a little bit, I closed the circuit and the bell went off. So I put that on the windowsill in my bedroom, and that thing went off 3 times as I can remember. My mom told me it rang several other times, but I wasn't home. And those 3 times that I remember it rang, I grabbed binoculars and ran outside. One time I didn't see anything, but 2 other times I did actually see something flying in the skies that was not airplanes.
Interesting.
The reason it would work is because whenever something that is manipulating gravity, it creates ripples in the Earth's magnetic field. And those ripples, they would touch the compass needle and turn it a little bit so it touched the wire and set off the circuit.
Very interesting.
I don't know if that made sense, but it sure did to me.
No, it kind of makes sense to me. I have a massive electronic background, so yeah, it could detect the off the spacecraft.
Yeah, it did actually.
Yeah. So,
and I tell you, here's something for you listeners out there. I'll tell you how you can see UFOs every time you go outside. Would you like to hear?
I would love to hear that.
Yeah. Get your hands on a 4th generation night vision goggles. Go outside after the sun goes down, so it is at least dusk. It should be dark. Aim that thing into the sky, and you will see points of light traveling back and forth, changing direction. You'll see cigar-shaped ships. You will see triangulars, round ones. They're all flying around up there. It is almost to the point where you could consider it a traffic jam. There's so many of them.
Oh, you are so right, because I was going to say I took a 10-year break out of broadcasting from, late 90s for 10 years. And I ran a chain of professional camera stores up in Tacoma area. And we imported in Russian infrared binoculars. They were huge. And I think at that time they were selling for $2,900, military surplus. But you know what? I took a pair home, and I was looking at the neighbors' dogs at night, cats and raccoons and all that stuff. And then I put it up to the sky. And what I saw in the sky, it scared me. I saw things that were zigzagging, coming to a stop, going at a 90-degree angle, and just weird stuff that a satellite can't do. A shooting asteroid can't do it. So the following Monday, I got a hold of the observatory up in Puyallup, Washington, and talked to the head guy. And I said, this is what I'm seeing. And he kind of like brushed me off, but he came in to talk to me at the store. And I said, look, take a pair home for a weekend. He came back the following Monday. He ordered a pair, and all the other members of the group ordered them. And he said the same thing. He goes, oh my God, it looks like there's a war going out there. That looks like there's fighting going on. It looks like these craft are going zigzagging, going every which way. It tells me there's something going on that we just can't see with our naked eyes.
Absolutely, because it's a little bit higher than what our the receptors in the back of our eye can detect. So out of our visual cue, and it is there. I didn't want to mention anything about the conflict out, but there is conflict in space also.
Oh, yeah. It sure looked like it. Now, we got to go on break, if you don't mind. If you want to get yourself a cup of jabba, cup of tea, or whatever, we'll be back in 8 minutes. So you got 8 minutes to, relax and get something to drink. And we'll be back with our great guest talking about the moon, talking about UFOs. And after the break and before our guest comes back on, James is going to give us the news. The Paranormal Earth Changes news. So stay tuned.